Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really unique system for health, and it comes from the book MAP by Machaelle Small Wright. Now, the whole idea here is a partnership with a super skilled medical team that you can't actually see.
So let's start with this central question. What if healing involved a team you couldn't see? I mean, really think about that. This system, MAP, really challenges how we normally think about health, right? It suggests we've got this incredible support team that's just kind of operating on a different frequency. And the wild part is, this whole thing didn't just come from some abstract idea. It was born out of a real, intense, and deeply personal crisis.
Yeah, like I said, this wasn't some idea cooked up in a lab. The whole map system was basically forged in fire, you could say. It all started with a personal, unexplained physical challenge that pushed its creator, Machaelle Small Wright, right to her breaking point.
So let's look at the timeline here. It all kicks off in 1982. Machaelle is deep into her research on a group called the White Brotherhood, and suddenly her body just starts reacting in a really bad way. We're talking 2 full years of severe structural issues, intense head pain, and a ton of chiropractic work. Then, just when she thinks she's in the clear, bam, summer of '84, the pain comes roaring back, and this time it felt like she'd hit a wall with all the usual medical options. And we're not talking about your average run-of-the-mill headache here. I mean, listen to how she puts it. It was more like somebody had an air hose hooked up to my head and was pumping in air well beyond the capacity that my head could hold. Wow. Can you even imagine that? That kind of unbelievable next-level pain is what pushed her to search for an answer, somewhere completely different.
So, what do you do when you've run out of options and you're at your absolute breaking point? Well, she turned to the very group she'd been researching. She just asked for help. And what happened in that moment? That simple request? Well, that became the very foundation for this whole system.
And the response she got was, well, it was a set of instructions. She was told to lie down and open up something called a coning. Think of it like an energetic hotline or a vortex. This was so she could connect directly with a medical unit from the White Brotherhood. And that right there, that was her very first session with what she would later call her MAP team, which she found out was led by a being named Lorperis.
Okay, so I know what you're thinking. The White Brotherhood? What is that exactly? The book is pretty specific here. It's not a human group, not a secret society or anything like that. It's described as this huge collective of highly evolved, non-physical souls whose whole job, basically, is to help with the evolutionary process of the universe. Now about that name. The author knows it can sound a little, well, dated, so she explains it directly. White isn't about race. It's used to mean the full spectrum of light, all the colors combined. And brotherhood isn't about gender. It's about the family of all life. So it's really a historical name for a much more universal idea. Okay, but here's where it gets even more interesting. This whole system isn't just about you and this team from the White Brotherhood. There's another key player, another conscious partner in all of this. And honestly, it might not be what you're expecting. And that partner is nature. But we're talking nature with a capital N here. This isn't just about trees and birds. In this system, nature is seen as a massive, intelligent consciousness. It's like the master architect and engineer of all physical form, including our bodies. So this consciousness knows the original blueprint. It knows how every single cell is supposed to work, and most importantly, it knows exactly how to put things right. And this nature intelligence even has its own specialized team. You've got the Deva of healing, who is the architect. This is the intelligence that designs the perfect blueprint for your healing. Then you have Pan and the nature spirits. They're the builders. Their job is to take that perfect blueprint from the Deva and actually, well, build it. They're the ones on the ground, so to speak, doing the hands-on work to restore order in the body. All right, so let's recap. We've got this metaphysical medical team, the White Brotherhood providing the high-level expertise, and nature intelligence providing the on-the-ground engineering. So the big question is, how do you actually get in touch with them? How does this session even work? Well, it all comes down to that thing we mentioned earlier, the coning. You can think of it as opening a private, secure conference line. It's an energetic vortex that connects you, your team from the White Brotherhood, and the nature intelligence all together. It's the critical link that allows this whole partnership to happen. It's basically the on switch. And what's really fascinating is how simple your part in all of this is. You don't need any special equipment or years of training. You just prepare by lying down somewhere quiet. Then you intentionally open that coning connection. And then you just talk to them. You tell them what's going on, whether it's physical, emotional, mental. You just lay it all out there. That's it. Okay, but that leads to a pretty obvious question, right? If you're the one doing all the talking, how do you get a response? I mean, how does a two-way conversation even happen with a team you can't see or hear?
This is a really important point in the book. The communication channel is, well, it's a bit one-sided, at least at first. Your team hears everything you say perfectly, but you probably won't hear them talking back, not with your actual ears. The book is really clear that for most people, this isn't going to be like a psychic phone call. So if you can't hear them, how do you bridge that communication gap? The system suggests a tool, kinesiology, which you might know as muscle testing. It's a way to use your own body's physical response to get clear yes or no answers. It turns your body into a kind of receiver, letting you ask your team direct questions and get simple, binary feedback. And really, that brings us to the bottom line here. The goal of this whole thing isn't to have a long, chatty conversation with your team. The goal is to get results. The book really hammers this home. Most people feel real, tangible, physical benefits from the sessions, even if they never, ever audibly hear a single word from their team. The proof, as they say, is in the pudding, or in this case, in how you feel. So when you put it all together, the MAP program is really trying to reframe our whole relationship with health. It shifts the idea of health from something that just happens to you, something you're a victim of, to something you actively co-create in partnership. And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. What would really change if you saw yourself not as just a passive patient, but as an active, powerful partner in your own well-being?